Behind the Wheel. Visit our website, behindthewheel.com.au.
Hello, Craig. Great to catch up with you.
Yeah, thank you. It's nice to be on.
Okay, I've got a big question to ask you first off. What's life like as a racing car driver? I mean, to us people who aren't racing car drivers, we think it must be a pretty cool kind of life.
Oh, look, I suppose in one aspect it is. It's you get to travel around the world. You get to a lot of different cities. You meet up with a lot of different people, and of course, you get to race a car that that you always wanted to do. So it's really, for me, it's a fantastic career. It's been obviously also very pleasing to be able to have such a long longevity in the sport as well.
I can imagine as you get more famous, and you are, one of the most recognisable faces in Australia, and you do a lot of work away from the racing car. Do you have to sort of make sure that you still find enough time to get your preparation right, to keep your mind on the job?
Oh, for sure. I think that you've got to keep a healthy balance between everything. It's it's quite easy to get caught up in I suppose the hype and the travelling of motor racing, but you've got to keep a balance. You've got to get home, you've got to do your washing, you've got to do all that side of it as well. It's for me, it's been a fantastic, as I said, career, and of course, we've got some fantastic people around us, like our manager and the team and everything. That you can keep that healthy balance between obviously motor racing and just life in general.
It must be a strange experience when, nobody's really born famous. You sort of, once upon a time, Craig, nobody knew your face. Now everybody does. Do you find that at times, you're in airports and people want to come up and talk to you? How do you deal with that? Because it must be, sometimes, we're all getting times when we don't want to talk to people or ask or answer those same questions. How do you deal with it?
Oh, look, there's always times like that you get frustrated, especially getting out of a race car, in the sense that you have a bad day or you have a crash or you've done something wrong, but you've got to, remind yourself that, firstly, the race car side of it, you've still got a fantastic job. You're still doing what you love to do, regardless whether you win or lose. And, of course, for me, when you travel and people do come up and say hello, it's more amazing for me to understand the people that do follow not only myself, but the sport in general. And I think that's where, it's a great feeling. It's very satisfying that people do follow what we do. And of course, for me, it's it's not too hard to talk to people. So, I've grown up like that. It's I haven't changed, or I don't think I've changed that much. And really, it's as I said, it's a more of a surprise that so many people do follow the sport and follow who we are.
I'm going to ask you the question that I reckon most people would ask you. It'll be about changing from Holden to Ford and back to Holden. Is that the perennial question that people ask?
Oh, look, it's one of the questions that people want to know why, more the fact. And I think that, when I first moved from Holden to Ford, it really comes to almost, in a sense, a personality clash. We were looking for a new or a different solution. We couldn't find it where we were. And, of course, Ford put their hand up. And now, in saying all that, going back, I think it was a different scenario. It was more of a fact that, I was within a team, Triple Eight. They're building fantastic race cars. We had no ambition of changing manufacture, but of course, it's a business. It's run like a business, and when you don't have the support of the manufacturer, then of course you got to look at elsewhere and what else is out there. And of course, in our sport at the moment, we've only got the two manufacturers. We've only got Ford and Holden. And, of course, next year we get to introduce Nissan. So it is slowly growing and developing. But, the second change for me was very different than the first one.
You and I are about the same age, Craig. I remember when I was a youngster and everybody be around the TV watching Bathurst. So I remember that the cars were very similar to the cars that we had on the road. Do you regret? I know the cars are terrific pieces of engineering today, and the development has been incredible over the last 20-odd years or so. But do you regret or lament the fact that they are a little bit disconnected from the Falcons and the Commodores that we see in our local dealerships?
Well, yeah. On one hand, yeah. Look, it's disappointing that we don't have that. That old cliche. You basically buy it off the showroom floor and go and put a number on it and go racing. It is sad to see those times have changed, and I think that in saying all that, I think it's also a good thing to develop race cars, which also then the engineering and the development that we do throughout the motor racing side of it does then get back filtered through the motoring industry. as a whole. So it does work both ways. I suppose that, the current car, when you talk to and explain to people that really our race car is 90 mil shorter than a road car because we cut and shut them. So when you get really passionate Ford or very passionate Holden followers, and you ask them why they're following that car, because we love that car, we love that brand. I said, well, that's great. And I believe in it too, but it's, you got to understand also the car is not a showroom car. It's completely different. The only really thing that we have to carry over from a road car is almost the badge on the front of it. Everything else we modify, we change, we lightweight it. We take, as I said, 90 mil out of the length of the car. So everything does change, but in saying all that, it does the interior and I suppose the hard work that we do build race cars does filter back through the manufacturer eventually.
I can just see people out there this weekend. They'll have the angle grinders out, cutting big 90mm chunks out of their Commodores. I didn't know that. That's very interesting.
Well, it is. It's something, I suppose, again, for the reason why our category is so strong, that we have such a very strict rules and conduct that we live by. And, of course, with that, there is a certain dimension of the car, length, width, height, that we all live by. And, of course, manufacturers, as they develop and grow, they're building slightly bigger cars for more legroom, for taller people, more comfort, better ride. And, of course, with that, we try and turn our race car or the road car back into a race car, which means we've got to shrink them down. So Holden are 90 mil shorter from road to race. And a Falcon is 65 mil shorter from road to race. So it's definitely something that, we were sort of proud of ourselves because we've created this industry and we've created a category that is so much on the parity, like fairly equal parity between the manufacturers, that we have very good, close, hard racing.
Craig Lowndes is our special guest on Behind the Wheel. Craig, a question I've always wanted to ask a racing car driver is, and you're the best person to talk to because you're on both sides of it. How different is it in that racing car compared to real life driving? I mean, they are two entirely different things, aren't they?
Oh, for sure. And it's something that, when you go and talk to kids about, the difference between motor racing and what we do and what they see us doing to what we do driving on a road, it's completely different. The race car has so much, design work put in. We have a complete roll cage from top to bottom, inside and out. We have 5-point race harness, race seat. We don't have a radio. We don't have air conditioning. We don't have a heater. We can't carry passengers. So everything really as a race car is designed, obviously, for safety and to go fast. Road cars are designed, obviously, for safety and to carry passengers from point A to point B. And of course, when you talk to people about, especially young kids getting their licence, to be very mindful of, all those factors that what you see on TV isn't necessarily what you do on a road, because, you've obviously got completely different elements. And if you've got that ambition of being and wanting to be a race driver or a motorcycle rider, racer, there's definitely environments that you can go and do it with, put on a racetrack, a motor carney, hill climbs, other events, legal off-street drags. Go and do it somewhere where it's a controlled environment. Don't do it on the street.
Absolutely. One thing, you mentioned television. I don't think the speed comes across on TV. You have to get out there and see the speeds you guys are doing to really get an appreciation for the skill and just the sheer difference between road speeds and track speeds.
Oh, for sure. I think that, the best, I suppose, relevance to speed is when you obviously pass something stationary, and of course to get a sense of how fast we're going. At points we go down Conrod Straight at Bathurst, where even the helicopter struggles to keep up with us because we're getting close to 300 kilometres an hour. So there's all those elements, and of course not only the speed is of course when you look at Bathurst as a whole as a racetrack, the elevation of a track, it's quite hard to imagine how steep the place is until you actually get there. Personally, so it's sometimes TV gives you a different perspective of what we do.
Just back to try to just get inside your head for a second, Craig. On race day, how much mental preparation does it take, and do you still get the butterflies in the stomach? How does it affect you personally?
Oh, look, I think the butterflies are always going to be there. I think you'd lie and to yourself if you didn't believe that, that nervous energy, that excitement, all that going through your veins when you get into a race car at the start of a race. You've got your own routines. I'm not superstitious. I don't have to get in, put my left glove on before my right or anything else like that. I just make sure I get in the right-hand side of the race car and away we go. But, of course, the mental strength of it is obviously, comes with confidence. It comes with knowing what you've got, how good you know the car is, your team around you, your infrastructure, all that comes about with obviously, and as well as confidence, comes about race wins. And for me, it's I know the circuit's almost inside and out. I've spent many years travelling around with them and understanding them. We do a track walk every time we go to a racetrack, which sometimes is for people is quite unusual or surprised that we still walk tracks that we've known for many years. But there's still those little things that you just miss when you drive a car. You've got to get out there. You've got to walk the track. They might have re-bitumened some section of it, put a new curb in, especially street circuits, manholes, white lines, all those stuff that you really need to walk the track and have a good look at what obviously you're racing on.
That's a very good point. I didn't realise that. Yeah, that is what you don't until you get out there and breathe the air and feel the track yourself. You can't often get a feel for it, can you? Yeah.
No, it's something that, you get in a race car or a car and you drive around and you go, oh, yep, it feels nice. But then, of course, you get to a corner where you go, well, from last year to this year, it just doesn't work the same. And, of course, then you've got to look at why, how, is the car different? Are you driving it different or is actually the circuit itself different? So, walk the track. It's really easy for us to do that as a team. And I think we're not the only ones. And you take a lot out of it, regardless whether there's no change at all. You actually see a different perspective of what you're racing on.
Craig, congratulations and a pat on the back for your work with Fatality Free Friday and the National Road Safety Foundation. It's all terrific work, and of course you've got Team Lowndes as well now. And is it predominantly just for our Queensland listeners to get involved?
Yeah, it is. It's something that we've aligned ourselves with Suncorp Insurance. It's Queensland based at the moment. Who knows where it's going to go, but to obviously be part of Fatality Free Friday and all that side of it is quite. For me, quite passionate about because it's something that I've been lucky enough to grow up doing what I love to do, drive race cars, and I've learned a lot along the way, and that's something that I'm hoping to try and then filter that down through to the next generation, to the people that want to get it and drive. And then, of course, there's those ambitions of wanting to be a race driver. So trying to help sort of that education throughout. But also, the main thing is to really get the kids to, if they want to experiment, they want to go and try to do things, go and do it in a controlled environment. We talk to schools about what we need to go through before we even get in a race car. All our race suits, our helmets, our boots, our gloves, everything else, our fitness. There's a whole lot of things. What people see us do is probably probably a 16th of what actually does go on behind the scenes and everything else. So it is a big thing. It's just not that we're telling them not to do it, but just go and do it in a controlled environment. I was quite lucky to grow up in a rural area where I had 5 acres to have the paddock bombs and the motorbikes to be able to go and do that in really at a home base. Have fun. I had an older brother who used to put me to dares and everything else. So, we're not any different to anyone else, but we've just been lucky enough to have the right guidance as we've grown up.
Yeah, and there's plenty of opportunities out there for people to do all that sort of stuff. It is very much achievable for most people, so there's sort of no excuse for doing it on the road nowadays in 2012. Craig, congratulations on the work once again, and we'll give it a big plug and push it for you. And hopefully, Team Lowndes goes national because I think that you've got the influence. Let's try and be safe all over Australia. Do you think that your future when you finally hang up the helmet, if you ever do, do you think? Road safety ambassador is going to be one of your main things? I mean, it's going to stick with you for life now, isn't it?
Oh, look, and I hope it does. It's something that I'm passionate about. I find it very satisfying to be able to go and educate kids and not only kids, but people in general. So I'm hoping to be able to continue that. Yeah, for sure. Beyond that, I'd like to try and do media, anything with the V8 Supercars ongoing would be sensational. I know that eventually we've all got to give up, the belief that we're going to keep winning races when we're 55 and 60, but hopefully I'm 38 this year, so I'm hoping I've got another few more years left in me. But there is a point where there's a crossover, and and also you've got to be very well aware of the next generation coming through. And the average age of a race driver now in V8s is probably mid-20s. When I first started, and lucky enough to get involved back in sort of the mid-90s, it was sort of around about 40. So it's definitely the demographic of drivers, and the racing itself has definitely changed. And of course, with that, you're probably going to start earlier in the sport and unfortunately finish earlier. So, look, for me, who knows what the future holds? Always tell me that when one door closes, three others open. So we'll see what happens when that comes.
Exactly. Well, I think you're doing all the right things now at this point in your career, Craig. It's been great catching up with you. And again, a pat on the back for the great work that you're doing with Russell and Fatality Free Friday, and of course Suncorp and GIO, they're friends of ours as well. So great to catch up with you, and all the best for the rest of the season.
No problem. Thank you very much.
If you think snoring is just a nuisance to put up with, think again. Snoring has now been linked to heart disease and circulatory disorders in both men and women. And if you've been trying unsuccessfully to lose weight, snoring could be the culprit, as sleep disturbances can lead to an excess production of the stress hormone cortisol, which may slow your metabolism. Many men start snoring in their 40s, and many ladies start during menopause. But there's no reason to tolerate sleepless nights and the side effects on your health. Instantly Stop Snoring's discreet self-mold mouthguard stops your snoring instantly. It's registered with the TGA and has been sold around the world for over 7 years. Call now 1-800-991-259. That's 1-800-991-259.